All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas convention at 10 a.m. today. Prime Minister interacts with leading economists on charting economic agenda for post-COVID world. DGCA issues guidelines for airlines to transport COVID-19 vaccines. New Delhi says terror outfits banned by United Nations act as proxies for Pakistan government to fulfill its anti-India agenda. US President-elect Joe Biden names 2 Indian Americans in the National Security Council of the White House. And India were 193 for 4 against Australia in the 3rd cricket test at Sydney a short while ago. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news. The 16th Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas convention will be held today through virtual mode. The convention will commence at 10 a.m. in the morning and will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During the inaugural session, President of the Republic of Suriname and Chief Guest Chandrika Prasad Santokhi will address the participants. The valedictory address will be delivered by President Ramnath Kovind. The theme of the 16th Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas is contributing to Atmanirbhar Bharat. More details from our correspondent.
Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated once in every 2 years to strengthen the engagement of the overseas Indian community with the Indian government, and it's also an endeavor which reconnects them with their roots. This year, due to the pandemic, the convention is being held in a virtual mode, which will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The inaugural session will be followed by the 2 plenary sessions, where discussions between eminent diaspora experts will be held on themes which include role of diaspora in Atmanirbhar Bharat and facing post-COVID challenges. India is proud of its largest diaspora across the globe, which consists of nearly 31 million people. External Affairs Minister Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar recently said that the Indian government values its vast diaspora enormously, as they are the image of the country in the world. India is also the country with the highest foreign remittances in the world, which amounts to over $80 billion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has as well time and again said that the Indian diaspora is the living root bridge between India and the world. He believes that the success of our diaspora has changed the perception of both India and Indians across the world. In the political sphere as well, people of Indian origin are in prominent positions across the world. Kamala Harris, Priyanka Radhakrishnan, Pravind Jagnnath, Leo Varadkar, Nikki Haley, Bobby Jindal, Preeti Patel, Preet Bharara and Pramila Jaipal are few such names in the long list. The growing prominence of Indians in both business and politics abroad is raising the profile of the country and will further encourage future trade links. Huge number of participants have registered this year to participate in the convention, where 30 eminent diaspora members will be honored with the Prabhasi Bharatiya Samman Awards. 15 winners of the Bharat Ko Janiye quiz will also be announced in the convention, who would be later invited for a pan-India tour after the COVID-19 pandemic. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
All India Radio Delhi will broadcast live the inaugural session of the Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas convention on its FM Gold and Indraprasth channels from 10:05 a.m. onwards. AIR Delhi will also broadcast live President Ramnath Kovind's valedictory address to be delivered on this occasion from 5 p.m. onwards on the same channels, that is FM Gold and Indraprasth.
Talking to AIR, Dr. Bharat Bhuthani, former President of Indian Business and Professional Council, thanked the government for organizing Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas even during the COVID-19.
I salute Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his government for upholding the tradition of celebrating the Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas even in the challenging times of COVID outbreak. This reflects the importance given to the NRIs by the Prime Minister and his government. Indian diaspora community, which constitutes over a third of the UAE's population, is hailed by the UAE rulers and the government for its contribution to the nation building. The contribution of the NRIs to the economic growth of UAE is one of the strongest pillars of India-UAE relations.
Geetesh Desai, president of Seva International Houston chapter, said the diaspora plays an important role in promoting India-US relations.
The diaspora has a natural attraction for India in their hearts because, as Ramayana proclaims, Janani Janmabhumishcha Swargadapi Gariyasi. The diaspora serves in developing bilateral relationship between the United States and India and promoting India and her culture in the United States. It is a way of serving our motherland from a distance, and it plays a significant role in bilateral relationship at policy level and execution level in political understanding, trade and investments, research and development, science and technology, medical and space sciences, and defense and strategic cooperation. And above all, the Indian diaspora plays a very vital role in enhancing India's prestige and standing in the world.
Mr. Bhav Dillon, a resident of Auckland in New Zealand, said Indians abroad are the living bridges between foreign countries and Bharat.
हमारा यहाँ 2,50,000 स्ट्रॉन्ग डायस्पोरा है, उसका एक बहुत बड़ा रोल है इन इंक्रीजिंग द ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स विद इंडिया, एंड दिस diaspora always plays a leading role in assisting any dialogue to grow, increase, and further develop and deepen the trade relationship between Bharat and New Zealand. Overall, अगर मैं कहूँ तो जो हमारा diaspora is the main pivot of the excellent relationship India and New Zealand share today. So इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ धन्यवाद, जय हिंद.
The Minister of State for External Affairs, V. Muralidharan, has said that India is going to be the global source of skilled manpower by 2022. Speaking at the Youth Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas conference on bringing together young achievers from India and Indian diaspora, he noted that Skill India program is aimed towards making the country ready to become the skill capital of the world by then. Our aim is to not just export manpower to the world, but to export skills, he said. The minister said, our program on Prabhasi Kaushal Vikas Yojana aims to enhance the skills of Indian youth who seek overseas employment, which will not only lead to better image of India in the developed world, but will also lead to better salaries and better remittances, thus raising India's GDP further. He said the government has initiated a spate of reforms in the economic and financial sector, which has immensely opened up India's investment regime.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with India's leading economist on charting the economic agenda in the post-COVID world. The interaction was organized by the Niti Aayog yesterday. All the attendants agreed that high-frequency indicators are showing signs of a strong economic recovery, and that too earlier than expected. Prime Minister Modi appreciated the inputs received from the participants and highlighted the crucial role such interactions played in setting the national development agenda. He highlighted how the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent management threw up new professional challenges for all those involved. Mr. Modi underlined that together with the fiscal stimulus, the government also tried to reform base stimulus, which was seen through historic reforms in agriculture, commercial coal mining and labour laws. The Prime Minister explained his vision behind an Atmanirbhar Bharat, where Indian companies are integrated in global supply chains in a manner not seen before. He underscored that the faith shown by foreign investors in India's growth story, with foreign direct investment growing by 11% between April and October despite a global recession. Mr. Modi highlighted the economic potential set to be unleashed by the National Optical Fibre Network, providing internet connectivity to some of India's most remote areas. The next round of talks between the centre and the farmer leaders will be held on the 15th of this month. Briefing media after the 8th round of talks with the representatives of farmers' unions, Agriculture and Farmer Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said discussion on the farm laws was taken up but no decision could be made. He said government urged that if a farmer unions give an option other than repealing, it will consider it, but no option could be presented, so the meeting was concluded.
वार्ता में तीनों कानूनों से संबंधित ही चर्चा होती रही, लेकिन कोई निर्णय आज नहीं हो सका। सरकार का लगातार यह आग्रह रहा कि रिपील के अतिरिक्त कोई और विकल्प अगर यूनियन दे तो सरकार उस पर विचार करेगी, लेकिन बहुत देर तक चर्चा के बाद भी कोई विकल्प आज प्रस्तुत नहीं किए जा सके और इसलिए आज चर्चा का दौर यही स्थगित हुआ और यूनियन और सरकार दोनों ने मिलकर ये तय किया है है कि 15 जनवरी को पुनः दोपहर 12 बजे वार्ता के लिए इकट्ठा होंगे और मुझे आशा है कि 15 तारीख की जो बैठक होगी उसमें कोई समाधान ढूंढने में हम लोग सफल होंगे.
India has said that the United Nations proscribed entities and designated terrorists act as proxies for Pakistani establishment to fulfill its anti-India agenda. MEA spokesman Anurag Srivastav said it is for the international community to hold Pakistan to account and ensure that it takes credible action against terror groups, terror infrastructure and individual terrorists. On a query on Pakistan court's 15-year jail sentence to LET terrorist Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, Mr. Srivastav said the timing of these actions clearly suggests the intention of conveying a sense of complaints ahead of the Asia-Pacific Joint Group APJG meeting and the next Financial Action Task Force FATF plenary meeting next month. He said it has become a routine for Pakistan to come up with such farcical actions prior to important meetings. The Phase 9 of Vande Bharat mission has been made operational from 1st of this month and 1,495 international flights have been scheduled, which will be operated from 24 countries. The Ministry of External Affairs spokesman Anurag Srivastav said it will facilitate return of 2.8 lakh people. He said as of Wednesday, 261 of these flights have been operated and facilitated return of 49,000 people from 19 countries. The spokesman said the world's largest repatriation exercise, Vande Bharat mission, have been brought back more than 44.7 lakh people since May 2020.
To facilitate the return of an estimated 2.8 lakh people. As of 6th January, 261 of these flights have already been operated, and these flights have facilitated the return of 49,000 people from 19 countries. This brings the total number of people who have been facilitated through different modes of this mission, which is the world's largest repatriation exercise. So since it started in May 2020, the number of people who've come back under this mission are more than 44.7 lakhs.
Diplomatic advisor to the President of France, Emmanuel Bon, has called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and discussed wide-ranging bilateral and global issues. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he had a productive meeting with Mr. Bon. Mr. Modi expressed joy at the progress in India-France strategic partnership, a force for global good in the post-COVID world. The Prime Minister expressed satisfaction on the progress both countries have made on key aspects of the India-France strategic partnership, including counter-terrorism, cyber-security, defense and strategic cooperation. Mr. Bon also briefed the Prime Minister on India-France cooperation on various regional and global issues, including maritime and multilateral cooperation. The Prime Minister fondly recalled his recent exchanges with President Macron and conveyed his best wishes for his health. He also reiterated his invitation to President Macron to visit India as soon as conditions permit. Israel has appointed Joshi Das Varma as the Honorary Consul in Northeast India. In a statement, Israel Embassy in India said Mrs. Das will be based in Assam. She will be looking after Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura and Sikkim. The move is aimed at enhancing cooperation in the Northeast. It is also expected to bring in Israel expertise and advanced Israeli technologies to benefit people in the region.
The Reserve Bank of India has announced that it will conduct a variable rate reverse repo auction on 15th of this month for a notified amount of 2 lakh crore rupees. In a statement, RBI said the decision to restore normal liquidity management operations in a phased manner has been taken after a review of the evolving liquidity and financial conditions. In view of COVID-19 outbreak, RBI had temporarily suspended the revised liquidity management framework. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas convention at 10 a.m. today. Prime Minister interacts with leading economists on charting economic agenda for post-COVID world. DGCA issues guidelines for airlines to transport COVID-19 vaccines. New Delhi says terror outfits banned by United Nations act as proxies for Pakistan government to fulfill its anti-India agenda. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden names 2 Indian Americans in the National Security Council of White House. And India were 200 for 6 against Australia in the 3rd cricket test at Sydney a short while ago. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
India's civil aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, has issued guidelines to airlines and other aircraft operators for transportation of COVID-19 vaccines. All scheduled operators who have been currently authorized to carry dangerous goods may carry COVID-19 vaccine packed in dry ice, meeting the regulatory requirements, DGCA said in a circular. Non-scheduled operators, including aircraft engaged in general aviation that are required to participate in the carriage of COVID-19 vaccines packed in dry ice, shall seek specific approval before commencing such operations. COVID-19 vaccination in India is expected to start in the next few days. Union Health Minister Harshvardhan said, adding that the Union government has requested the stakeholders in the process to help in its smooth rollout. Operators will need to prepare and do's and don'ts guidance for handling of vaccines, and such packages would be handled only by trained personnel. As per DGCA directives, authorized airlines can carry vaccine in dry ice in passenger cabin or cargo cabin. Passengers won't be allowed on board if vaccines have been transported in the passenger cabin. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 96.39%. To the last 24 hours, more than 20,000 COVID patients have recovered. The total number of recoveries has gone up to over 1,37,000. The Health Ministry said the COVID-19 recovery rate in India is among the highest in the world. It is 89.36% in Brazil. In Russia, it is 81.17%, Italy 70.68%, USA 59.59%, and UK 47.44%. The actual caseload currently comprises only 2.16% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is around 2,25,000. Talking to All India Radio, Dr. N.N. Mathur, Director, Lady Hardinge Medical College, New Delhi, said that antibodies will develop in people following vaccination.
ये वैक्सीन से एक्सपेक्टेशन यही है, ज्यादातर लोगों में ये एफिकेशियस होगी. अब कितने % लोगों में एफिकेशियस होगी, ये डाटा एनालाइज होता रहेगा. ये पब्लिक डोमेन में ये डाटा आता रहेगा. बाद में लोगों को बता दिया जाएगा कि इतनी एफिकेशियस है ये वैक्सीन. उसमें टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन यही अच्छी वैक्सीन से यही उम्मीद है कि वो एफिकेशियस होगी. लेकिन उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम अपनी प्रिकॉशंस लेनी बंद कर दें. प्रिकॉशंस तब तक बरकरार रहेंगी जब तक कि जनता में ज्यादातर लोगों के अंदर अच्छी एंटीबॉडीज डेवलप जाएं.
Bihar government has decided to conduct random COVID tests in all educational institutions, including schools. This was decided after positive cases were reported in 2 schools of Munger district. Principal Secretary, Education Department, Sanjay Kumar said schools will be closed after detection of even a single positive case. Mr. Kumar said instruction has been given to educational institutions to follow COVID protocol strictly. Madhya Pradesh has continued to report a low corona positive case load. The corona positive rate is 2.4% in the state. So far, more than 2,33,000 patients have recovered from COVID infection. 614 new positive cases were reported yesterday. The dry run of the COVID-19 vaccination was also completed successfully in 51 districts of the state. We have more from our Bhopal correspondent.
Around 3,825 health workers participated in the corona vaccine dry run of the second phase in 51 districts of Madhya Pradesh on Friday. Health Minister of the state, Dr. Prabhasi Chaudhary, informed that preparations for corona vaccination have been completed in all districts of the state. He informed that cold chain stores have been prepared at 4 places in the state at Bhopal, Jabalpur, Gwalior and Indore. Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, 809 patients recovered yesterday from COVID infection. With 9 patients succumbing to the infection, the death toll rose to 3,691. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Karnataka reported 970 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. At the same time, 657 people recovered from the disease and were discharged from hospitals, and 9,429 active COVID patients are under treatment in various hospitals. The COVID-19 vaccination dry run was conducted in 281 places across the state yesterday.
In Karnataka, 6.30 lakh healthcare workers serving in both government and private sector have registered for COVID-19 vaccination. These frontline healthcare workers can check their names registered for COVID vaccination in the website of www.covidwar.karnataka.gov.in. In case a frontline healthcare worker has not registered, they are advised to contact the government reproductive and child health officer in the respective district and get registered. R. Murthy, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Gujarat government has issued a notification to restrict people from flying kites at public places during Makar Sankranti festival due to COVID-19 pandemic. As per the notification issued by the State Home Department, any act of flying kites, assembling of persons at public places, open grounds or roads, streets will be prohibited. It advised that people should celebrate the festival with the close family members only. The notification also advised the people above the age of 65, pregnant women and kids below 10 years to stay at home. The Advocate General of the state government also informed the same to the Gujarat High Court, which is hearing a public interest litigation on this issue. Gujarat has reported 685 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, more from an Ahmedabad correspondent.
The total number of COVID-19 cases detected so far in Gujarat has reached up to 2,50,598. Out of these, 2,38,114 patients recovered. 892 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. According to the State Health Department, the recovery rate has further improved to 95.02%. Maximum 134 new cases reported from Ahmedabad, while Surat reported 126 new cases. At present, total active cases in the state are 8,149, out of which 61 patients are on ventilator. 3 patients died yesterday due to COVID-19. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
The News Services Division brings glimpses of the year that was in our special series, Year Ender 2020. The Aspirational Districts program, launched in January 2018 to improve the socio-economic indicator of 112 relatively less developed districts in the country, has enabled significant progress in these districts last year. With an objective of achieving the vision of New India 2020-2022, through the guiding principle of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas or Sabka Vishwas, the program is working for quickly and effectively transform these districts. The broad contours of the program are convergence of central and state schemes, collaboration of central and state officers, and competition among districts driven by a mass movement. With states as the main drivers, this program is focusing on the strength of each district, identify low-hanging fruits for immediate improvement, measure progress, and rank districts. Addressing a function in December 2019, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had highlighted the importance of this program.
हिंदुस्तान के करीब 700 जिले देखें, 112 जिलों को अब हमारी सरकार एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट के तहत विकसित कर रही है। डेवलपमेंट के हर पैरामीटर पर, गवर्नेंस के हर पैरामीटर पर अब पूरा फोकस करके हम इन जिलों में काम कर रहे हैं। चाहे वो कुपोषण हो, माता और शिशु मृत्यु दर हो, बैंकिंग सुविधा हो, बीमा सुरक्षा हो, बिजली कनेक्शन हो, शिक्षा व्यवस्था हो, स्वास्थ्य से जुड़ी सुविधाएं हो, हम तमाम पैरामीटर्स पर लगातार रियल टाइम मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं। सैकड़ों अफसरों को विशेष तौर पर इन एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट के विकास के लिए लगाया गया है।
Our correspondent takes a look at the program.
To raise the living standards of citizens and ensure inclusive growth for all, the Aspirational District program focuses closely on improving people's ability to participate fully in burgeoning economy, health and nutrition, education, agriculture and water resources, financial inclusion, and skill development and basic infrastructure are core focus areas of this initiative. 49 key performance indicators have been chosen to measure progress of 112 districts. Districts are encouraged to first catch up with the best district within their state and subsequently aspire to become one of the best in the country by competing with and learning from others in the spirit of competitive and cooperative federalism. In this direction, Niti Aayog plays the role of anchoring this program by collecting monthly data on key performance indicators and ranking them on the incremental progress made in the past 1 month. During the month of November last year, Ramgarh district of Jharkhand has topped the list of aspirational districts, followed by Yadgir of Karnataka and Gadchiroli of Maharashtra. Dumka and Sahibganj of Jharkhand are also in the list of top 5 districts. During COVID-19 pandemic, Niti Aayog has taken steps to ensure that aspirational districts are able to contain the spread of virus. Collaboration has been one of the guiding principles in the aspirational district program, which has enabled the district administration in ramping up of isolation camps, setting up of control room, door-to-door food supplies, distribution of cooked foods, mobilization of self-help groups for making homemade masks and sanitizers while simultaneously sustaining their livelihoods during lockdown period. Divas, AIR News, Delhi.
In the United States, the President-elect Joe Biden has appointed 2 Indian Americans to the National Security Council at the White House. Biden has named Indian-American Shimona Guho as Senior Director for South Asia and Tarun Chabra as Senior Director for Technology and National Security. Shimona Guho is currently serving as Senior Vice President at Albright Stonebridge Group. She was co-chair of the South Asia Foreign Policy Working Group during the Biden-Harris campaign.
In cricket, India were 206 for 6 against Australia in the third test at Sydney a short while ago. India resumed its first innings from the overnight score of 96 for 2. Earlier, the hosts were all out for 338. Ravindra Jadeja took 4 wickets for the visitors, while Stephen Smith scored 131 runs for the hosts. The hosts had won the toss and elected to bat on the opening day. The 4-match series is currently levelled at 1-1, and if India manages to win this test, the side will retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy, even if Australia goes on to win the last test at Brisbane. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital will have moderate fog. The city observed a minimum temperature of 11 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 18 degrees. Mumbai will experience generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will hover between 23 and 31 degrees Celsius. Chennai may witness thunderstorm with rain. The temperature will vary between 24 and 28 degrees Celsius. In Kolkata, the sky will be mainly clear. The city observed a minimum temperature of 19 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 30 degrees. Srinagar will have generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between -2 degrees Celsius and 8 degrees. In Jammu, there will be mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards evening. The minimum temperature was 10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 20 degrees. Leh will have partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was -10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around -1 degree. Gilgit to experience generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between -3 degrees and 9 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have generally cloudy sky. The temperature will move between 3 and 18 degrees Celsius. Dehradun observed a minimum temperature of 7 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 26 degrees Celsius. The city witnessed fog mist in the morning and is expected to have mainly clear sky during the day. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 18 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 29 degrees. The city witnessed fog in the morning and is expected to have partly cloudy sky during the day. Itanagar will witness mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 27 degrees. Kohima witnessed fog during the early morning and will have mainly clear sky during the day. The minimum temperature will move between 4 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees. And in Guwahati, fog or mist occurred in the early morning. The minimum temperature was 13 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 27 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Prime Minister to discuss COVID jabs drive with Chief Ministers on Monday, informs The Pioneer. The paper writes, soon after meeting, date for rollout of vaccination will be announced. India completes second vaccination dry run, writes The Statesman. India to check key UNSC plan on Taliban terror, writes The Times of India. 2611 mastermind Lakhvi gets 15-year jail in Pakistan, reports The Asian Age. Avian flu confirmed in 6 states. Haryana to cull 1.66 lakh farm birds, writes The Pioneer. Passenger flights from UK to India resume after 16 days, reports The Financial Express. And finally, The Tribune writes, brace for fresh cold wave, IMD. The paper writes that temperature is likely to fall by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius over the next 4 to 5 days.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Prabhasi Bharatiya Divas convention at 10 a.m. today. Prime Minister interacts with leading economists on charting economic agenda for the post-COVID world. DGCA issues guidelines for airlines to transport COVID-19 vaccines. New Delhi says terror outfits banned by United Nations act as proxies for Pakistan government to fulfill its anti-India agenda. US President-elect Joe Biden names 2 Indian Americans in National Security Council of the White House. And India were 206 for 7 against Australia in the third cricket test at Sydney a short while ago. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.